Good morning. It is a new month, March, and with a new month comes a new focus for us. And our focus this month is on the spiritual value of education and continuous improvement. And it's appropriate that we would be focusing on this today because with us from our home office in Denver is the Director of Spiritual Education, the Dr. Bob Dean. And he's sitting right there in that row over there. Why don't you stand up and say hello? He's here to check up that I'm getting it right. No, he's here teaching in our ministerial training course, and Dr. Bob is on the committee, is the chair of the committee that awards honorary doctorates. So he is in part responsible for awarding a Doctor of Divinity to our own Reverend now, Dr. Kim Kaiser. Won't you please stand, Kim? And we will be inviting you shortly to come and celebrate the reenactment of his doctoral conferral. We're going to do that. Of course, we have to. So we started on Wednesday evening with this topic because Wednesday was the 1st of March. And I want to pick up with what I started with on Wednesday, and that is to assure you that at the Center for Spiritual Living and in all of religious science, there is no conversion mission. We have no mission to convert anybody. Isn't that a relief? Yeah, so we're not so much interested in enrolling people and getting them to believe our way. If anything, we would have a mission, well, it would be an education mission, a spiritual education mission to give people the opportunity to learn about their own relationship to life, and whether that sticks and stays with them, that's fine. That's wonderful. You know, and so we're pretty lucky here at the Center for Spiritual Living that we have so much opportunity for education. We're one of the few centers that has 3 semesters with all of our classes offered on an ongoing basis. It's really a wonderful thing. And this idea of continuous improvement, well, I was thinking about a teacher of mine early on in Centers for Spiritual Living in my training. I asked her about that, and she said, well, you know, things can be good for you, but don't let that be the enemy of even better. Because it's the idea that there is this infiniteness. Well, it comes from our statement of belief. It says, we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Has to do with this idea of what infinite means. Going on and on and on. And that's what our topic is all about this month. Our continued lifelong expansion. In our organization's documentation on a national level, it is listed as one of our core values. And this is how it says it. Please read it with me. We walk a path of awakening, growth, and spiritual deepening through classes, workshops, seminars, and spiritual practices that allow us to embrace education as a lifelong endeavor. Well, there are different ways a person can go about that, learning on a lifelong basis. The formal way, as one example, in a classroom setting with workshops and seminars and classes, we're good at that. I mean, you can't walk through this building without bumping into a workshop. We're continuously figuring out some way to offer education, spiritual education, so that we can learn together. We do that very, very well. And we try to offer them in the daytime, in the evening, on the weekends, to meet all of the needs of people's different schedules, like this upcoming class, Make Me an Instrument of Your Peace, based on the prayer of St. Francis. We're offering it in the daytime this time, because last time we offered it in the evening to match those people whose schedule don't allow them to take classes in the evening. And if you should ever want to know what's coming up in our education schedule, you can go to our website, www.csl.org. Look under the Education tab, and we refresh the current schedule every semester as we get close to it, so you can see what's available for you. You can also go to Stepping Stones Bookstore, where there is a listing of all the workshops, including the free ones, information everywhere. So that's the first way, through the formal track of classroom education. There is another way, self-study. It's a marvelous way to continuously learn. I'm surprised to discover that people don't know, many people don't realize, that we have a lending library, a fully functioning lending library with no fines for late returns. Awesome. You just go upstairs and you check out a book. We've got a terrific reference section. We've got great classic volumes on metaphysics. There's audio and there's video. There's all sorts of things that you can check out. Oftentimes we'll even have the book of the month, so you can check that out as well. And there's more. For those people who would like to study affirmative prayer on their own, I'm surprised that people don't know that we have an online affirmative prayer library. You can go to our website, check out the resources, and there's an online affirmative prayer library which is searchable by topic. So if you're traveling or you're dealing with health or whatever it is, you can search, find a prayer that suits you, then print it out and read it frequently until you become so familiar with the language that you can make your own. But wait, that's not all. You can go to our website, and I'm surprised that people don't realize that I think we have between 5 and 10 years of video content, of free, of all of our guest speakers. You don't even have to listen to me. Terrific experts. Not only that, but all of our audio is available so that you can download it and take it with you when you're traveling or driving. And you know how we are. We have our preferences for how we must receive our audio. So we meet all those needs. You can get it through Stitcher. You can get it through iTunes. You can get it through Blogger. All sorts of ways so that you have resources for you to follow the second path, which is self-study. There is another way to embrace learning as a lifelong pursuit, and that is in the classroom of ordinary life. You know, let life become my learning opportunity, which is what our topic today is about. Reachable and teachable. Because I can't learn from life if I'm unreachable or if I'm unteachable. You know, if I can't or won't listen, if I'm not open to new ideas, well, then life is not so much a classroom, it's more like a battlefield, right? I've got to agree with it, and I think it takes a conscious and definite attitude to be open-minded. And I think that's partly because of our tendency to close down and become comfortable. We've talked about that in the past 2 months, the tendency to settle in. So I know for me, I have to keep on opening the doors to learning and understanding. I really have to adopt in my heart and my mind these ideas such as this. I am open to learning today. I have to repeat that. I am reachable and teachable today. I am eager to grow beyond what I know today. I am willing to consider that I may not know everything. Oh, that's a good one, right? To affirm that. I'm willing to concede there may be more. I heard a speaker once talking on the Beatitudes of Jesus of Nazareth, you know, especially the one that says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And I remember at the time thinking about that, not knowing what to make of that. Because to me, meek meant weak, or submissive, tame, acquiescing, deferential, unprotesting. You know, I remember back there thinking very much like I'm thinking today. This is no time to be meek. But do you know, the speaker reframed it for me and said, no, meek does not mean weak. It does not mean submissive. Meek means reachable and teachable. It means I'm even-tempered enough that I don't have to fight with every single new idea or anything that is different. It means I'm mild enough mannered, and because I am, I don't always assume that my way is better. It may be, but I'm willing to look at it. It means that I accept that the infinite mind of creation, the wisdom of the universe, has something for me that I don't already know every single day, and I want to learn that. But for me to learn that, I have to be reachable and teachable. I think teachable describes the humility in the mind of a person who can accept that there is more to learn. I think it's being gentle without being spineless. Meek doesn't mean that we become opinionless. Meek doesn't mean that we tolerate oppression. It does mean that we become humble enough to know that there is more than one path to God, more than one way to love, more than one way to express, more than one way to live, more than one culture to cherish. Always more. Because God, infinite, endless, cannot be contained, cannot be restricted, cannot be narrow-mindedly held in one spot. And here at the center, we recommend that if you want to avoid getting stuck, that you and I continue learning, continue studying, continue reading, continue meditating, continue discussing. And as you've heard, there are excellent opportunities like this month, lunchtime learning, free, Tuesdays, 12:30, where we will be using Brené Brown's, it's the book of the month, Daring Greatly, as the guide for us to talk about ideas that can keep us stuck and stop us from growing, centered around the idea of vulnerability. So it's so easy for me to become unteachable. So easy. You know, I learned to play the flute a certain way in my youth, and I studied a method that was taught in my country, you know, how to hold the flute a certain way, how to position your mouth so it's just in the right place. And I got settled into that particular way of learning to play the flute, even though that method caused me physical discomfort. And yet I remained loyal to it, no matter what. I believed all other methods, even though I never actually said this to anybody, I believed all other methods were inferior. So I wouldn't even consider them, let alone talk to somebody who was in the other camp. I couldn't be reached. Until one day I was having cramps so bad that I secretly and privately looked up some YouTube videos that addressed cramps for flute players. And I started watching them and listening, and before I knew it, they were dismantling everything I had learned. And there I was, trying on the techniques of the other method, like a dirty little secret in my study. And I realized once I took the step over into the dark side that up until then, I would rather have cramps than admit I could possibly be wrong. Anybody else? That's unreachable. Oh, you know, unreachable means when loyalty to something prevents progress. What I know now is that there's always more than one right way. I learned that here at the center. But there might as well not be if I'm closed. If the other right way cannot even reach me, if it can't even have an audience with me. I know different is not always better. I know that. But if I persistently avoid different, I may get stuck in same. I remember reading about the Swiss watch industry crisis. Yes, it's a thing. In 1968, as I remember, the Swiss watchmakers owned over 65% of the watch market in the world. And then that decreased about 10% in the 1970s, about 1978. And then, by 1990s, Japan took over and dominated the entire wristwatch market. What happened? Quartz crystal happened, which turned out was 1,000% more accurate than any mechanical device could be. Now, this new technology was rejected by the Swiss world market. I can just imagine me being a Swiss watchmaker. No, this is how I've always made them. A group of people who at the time were known for their cheaper quality products, the Japanese, they saw an opportunity for doing things in a new way, and they picked up the new technology and ran with it, and they turned it into a global industry quickly. Now, here's the interesting bit. The Swiss had a lot to do with the invention of the technology that they rejected. Now, I can relate. See, because one of my themes, one of my key phrases is, don't tell me what to do. You don't know me, right? Oh, unteachable. But sometimes it's not because I'm just being stubborn and full of it. Sometimes it's because I'm scared. I'm unreachable. I'll say something like, I want my life to be different so long as you don't change anything. Because, maybe that I've just finally got everything figured out. Can I just have a break? So I want to shield myself from all the change and all the unknown. But it never ends. It never stops. So I've had to learn to speak to myself in my own mind as I walk through the change of this world and say to myself, there is that within me that is changeless and eternal, even though I walk through change. Every moment I stand on the point of infinite and new possibilities, and change happens easily and effortlessly for the highest good of all concerned. And there is nothing in me that can be hypnotized or led astray, and I am safe in the knowledge that God is where I am. I have to talk to myself. Because I do want to continue to grow. Things are good. I don't want to make that the enemy of better. I'm happy, but I'd like more joy because I want to share a lot of it. I'm healthy, but I desire even more vibrancy because I got a lot still I want to do, don't you? I'm doing well. I would say I'm abundant, but I'm open to receiving much, 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 much more because there are so many causes I want to contribute to, so many things I want to improve, so many people's lives I want to contribute to. And I think I'm understanding. But I'd like a little more wisdom so that I can participate in the world in a way that is just a little gentler, a little kinder, and a little more helpful. Here's a thought. It's from our founder. Won't you read it with me? The range of our possibilities at the present time does not extend far beyond the range of our present concepts. Oh no. We're in trouble. Or not. It goes on to say together, as we bring ourselves to a greater vision, we induce a greater concept and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. In this way, there is a continuous growth and unfoldment taking place. So, how does a person bring themselves to a greater vision for their lives? Well, One way is to use our beautiful imaginations. We might ask ourselves, how would I show up in the world if I did have more joy? You see, your imagination is at work now. How would I show up in this world if I was wiser? How would I show up in this world if I had more vitality? How would I show up in this world? What would I be doing if I was more abundant? And effortlessly let those ideas and those images of how that might be in our imagination, let them come alive in our minds without arguing with them, without getting all intellectual and argumentative with them, just sort of like in the style of daydreaming, playfully, meekly. That's part of the foundation of our teaching, to think clearly about what it is we want to do, be, have, express, and then fill those images with the warmth and color of our feeling so that the creative energy of the infinite mind has something to work through, a blueprint to channel through. Not only can I use my imagination to get a greater vision for my life, but I can remain teachable and reachable by challenging my boundaries, my comfort zone. Put myself in new surroundings to experience where I might have become used to something. Go to another church service once. Visit different worlds of opinion. Discuss with different people. Go to our diversity discussion group. Look at all the different groups in our bulletin. Go and experience something that you haven't done before. Read respected news sources that represent a point of view that is different to yours, so that I can practice listening to people I disagree with. I want to question, in particular, in my life, those things that seem reasonable and normal to me. Is there another way? Can I be safe with allowing another way? Can I even grow from learning about another way? And I think sometimes what we have to do is we have to move the thoughts out of the way, the thoughts that are blocking our progress. I was reading in Brené Brown, she talks that there are mixed messages from our society that block us because they are contradictory and we don't know which way to go with them. Like, for example, she says there's this message, be perfect, but not too perfect. It's got to look effortless. Don't upset anyone, but we expect you to be very honest. Be yourself, but don't be too shy, and don't also be too self-confident. Don't be too emotional, but don't be too detached. Oh. So I think spiritual living is about bringing ideas like these out into the light to see what they are and whether or not we should allow them to continue shaping our choices. And that's in part why we created the Lent booklet, Giving It Up for Good, which we handed out last week. It's a guide to identifying and releasing ideas that may keep us stuck. And if you weren't here last week, we brought more. They're out at the AIDS Life Cycle table where I'll be after service. You can come and pick up one of those booklets. And what I'm going to do, since we started on the 1st of March, I'm going to use some of the readings for our closing spiritual practice. Now, if you've been going along with the booklet, these will seem familiar to you. So I invite you to take a breath in. And as you exhale, imagine that the words you are hearing are the words of your own voice, speaking in the silence of your own mind, maybe first thing in the morning, just before you get engaged in the day, or perhaps last thing at night as you're going to bed. The words of your own wisdom speaking to you. Today, I give up any attitude that stands in the way of peace. I release all people, places, and things from my expectations. I allow creation to be what it is. And I open myself to see the good that is around me. Today, I give up the idea of surviving, and I replace it with an idea of thriving. I shake loose and set myself free from any past conditioning so that I may realize I am always free, vibrant, and alive with spiritual energy. Today, I give up the idea that my way is the only way. I give thanks for my increased awareness of all the possible ways of seeing and understanding and enjoying this world. Today, I give up the idea that I do not know how to express myself. I love that I am an expression of life. I honor my uniqueness. I let myself become awake to my feelings, to my emotions, and I realize all is well. Today, I give up any resistance that I might have to change. And immediately I feel the fresh breath and ease of being safe at home in a sea of benevolent changes that are natural and for my benefit. Today, I give up the idea that beauty is restricted to my preferences, and I open my mind to appreciate what is beautiful in ways I have not yet seen. So I practice. I practice seeing beauty everywhere, in everything, in everyone. And in this way, I become more fully conscious of my spiritual nature. I am teachable and reachable. And at the center of my being is a presence that is still, calm, and at peace. And let the next breath you take be a little deeper than the one before, followed by a sigh.